Hey there folks, Zach Smith, Plant Dude. I just want to talk about no-till. So what was here all season was intermittent rows of corn and squash. Two of the three sisters, building soil, building a soil microbiome, conceivably, at least given enough time. It's widely accepted that now that this has been tilled, those gains have been erased. The soil is now going back to a state that is devoid of that fungal and bacterial network. There may be holdout spores or perenniating structures in those microbes, undoubtedly, but this soil is starting to develop structure over the year. The roots, there may be worms, not so sure, microbes, creating soil structure. Soil structure, everything that I'm studying in regenerative agriculture says that soil structure is really the goal. Nothing is the one thing in regen, but everything is interconnected. But when you have this broken soil structure, the fine silt particles clogging up the pore space, so water puddles on top. If water puddles on top, that soil is restarting from zero. And this is where, of course, weeds come in. Weeds take over damaged soil and they help rebuild soil structure. They are actually just coming in, called in, so to speak, by nature to say, help, the soil needs to be rebuilt. And of course we think, oh no, weeds, and we spray them. But when we screw up the soil, we call in the weeds. And then there's an old adage, 1 year tilling, 7 years weeding. I think that's how it goes. Anyway, you get the point. No-till, much lower weeds. In fact, a lot of regen farmers are claiming to get rid of their most noxious weeds with just regenerative practices. That's just not a good environment for weeds. There's two definitions of weeds that I go by. One, it's just a plant growing in the wrong spot that you don't want, right? Two, it's a plant that is thriving in disturbed soil. There are many plants that only grow in disturbed soil, and when you disturb the soil, those plants show up, and they're not by any means well aligned with the crop you want to grow. There's no similarity in the eco niche that they're trying to fill. Your food crop wants soil with structure, and in a situation like this, you're going to have farmers working against nature to try to get the next crop to thrive. And that's going to be through additives. They're going to till in a bunch of compost and stuff. That'll force pore space. That'll force open the soil. That's fine. I mean, it's been working like this not for millennia. This is the mistake people make. They think, but this is how farmers have always done it. We haven't been farming that long in this sort of way. The advent of a plow pulled by a tractor isn't that long ago. So farmers didn't spend a lot of sweat equity on something. They found the path of least resistance. And in that way, the old permaculture techniques were what farmers would default to when they didn't have access to major horsepower, so to speak. But once the steel plows and the big tractors were invented, the farmers were like, well, that's the path of least resistance. I can break up compaction that I created over and over again. The harvesters create compaction, and then the till breaks up the compaction until you get a hard pan down below where the till can't reach, and then the water puddles down there, and then they put in tile drains. They start to drain the fields with old school technology drainage. And yeah, not every soil's got the same depth. You may have a hard pan naturally, but then what they do, they come in with a 6-foot ripper and they rip the soil all the way down to break that hard pan, and then they start the cycle over again. Each and every time that the soil is turned over, the clock is reset on the microbial life. And there's not anybody in modern agronomy that would say that's okay. It's not modern agronomy that is farming with a plow. In fact, it may have been Ray Archuleta. Somebody said, in all the studies I've done, there hasn't been any advances in agronomy in 100 years. We're still just post Dust Bowl trying to scratch our heads and figure out how to keep the soil in place, because it was like the Soil Conservation Act post Dust Bowl because silt from the middle of the country was blowing into Washington, D.C., and they went, oh, that's not right. And like Ray Archuleta says, if your rivers and your waterways are flowing brown after rain, there goes your soil management plan down the drain, and all that topsoil is lost. And why do we care about topsoil? Because you need your roots to stick in something. You can't farm in the parent material, the hard, unimproved, decomposed, rocky substrate that's below a lot of soil. So deep soil is a luxury, but we can still lose that soil. Anyway, point is this: if you don't till, you don't break up that structure that you created, that structure starts to persist, then soil carbon starts to stick around, and soil microbes start to stick around. And then your next crops go in and they come up fast, and they use very little fertilizer, and they have very little fungal issues. So right now I'm seeing more and more good news that no-till, regenerative agriculture is moving fast. There's a new documentary coming out on a farmer who took a plot the size of Los Angeles and converted it to regen. So that's promising. You're going to see a lot of food coming from regenerative ag, and that food will very likely be much higher in nutrient density and flavor, and then serve to reduce health issues in our population. And yeah, there's a big correlation between popular health, the health of the population, and whether it's regenerative type agriculture or what we'd call conventional, unfortunately, conventional agriculture. All right, plant dude out.